For 3,000 years, humanity was seen as a neutral, fragile species zone that sought peace, while powerful empires ruled the Milky Way. But what happens when mankind no longer wishes to hide? When a mighty empire declared war, they believed Earth would fall in a single breath. But when they arrived, Earth was gone. And in the darkness, thousands of ships emerged, silent, waiting. Not a single shot, not a single threat. Only laughter echoing across the stars. Have you ever imagined a future where war doesn't begin with weapons, but with silence? Where peace itself becomes the ultimate weapon? Prepare yourself. The story you're about to hear will change the way you see the universe and humanity forever. The beginning of the war. Ambassador Kim stood alone by the panoramic window of Harmony Station, hands clasped behind her back, eyes fixed on the endless tapestry of stars stretching across the cosmic abyss. Earth shimmered in the distance blue, green, and full of life, a fragile cradle adrift in the void. Her navy blue formal uniform, adorned with silver trim, reflected softly under the lights. It was the official attire of Earth's representative to the Galactic Council. Once a symbol of peace and diplomacy, and perhaps soon, a symbol of defiance. A low chime broke the silence. Ambassador. Came the calm voice of Jenner AI companion, a softly glowing blue sphere. Priority transition from the Galactic Council. Kim didn't move. Put it through. The large screen flickered to life. In the dim light of the council chamber appeared a towering insectoid figure. Supreme Commander Kral of the Tekran Empire. His chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under artificial light, 4 compound eyes reflecting the stars, twitching limbs exuding a barely restrained hostility. Around him, representatives of various species sat in silence, tension visible in every subtle gesture. "Greetings, Supreme Commander," Kim said evenly, offering a slight bow. "I'm honored by your direct contact." Kral's voice, translated from clicks and hisses into the common tongue, rasped like blades grinding on stone. "There is no honor here, human. I come to deliver this. The peace treaty between our civilizations, 3,000 years in the making, is now officially void." Kim remained silent, her heartbeat steady. "Let him speak. Your species has violated the Proxima Accord," Kral continued, mandibles flaring. "Your intrusion into the Epsilon Zone is an act of provocation. Such arrogance will not be tolerated." Behind him, the council members stirred. The Vex Ambassador, a living crystalline being, cast a glance at Kim, emitting a soft light, like a silent shrug in its native language. Kim reached for her porcelain coffee coupon, old relic from Earth she always carried. She took a slow, deliberate sip, calm to the point of menace. Kral flinched. "Your response?" Jin whispered in her ear. "Shall I send the standard diplomatic refusal?" Kim set the cup down, each motion precise. "No need," she said, loud enough for the transmission to record. "Tell them we accept their declaration of war." The chamber erupted in murmurs of disbelief. Even Kral recoiled slightly, his compound eyes widening. "You accept?" Kim nodded, her gaze burning like frost set aflame. "Humanity accepts your war." And with that, it all began. The mask falls. Just seconds after Ambassador Kim's declaration, a synchronized message appeared across every communication device within human space. Protocol Pandora, activated. Remain calm. Continue daily activities. No blaring sirens. No flashing red alerts. No orders to evacuate. Just a single line, concise, quiet, as if to say that everything had been under control for a very long time. Across the towering arcologies of Earth, in the bustling cafes on Mars, within the frozen research stations of Europa, and deep in the mining tunnels of the asteroid belt, the first reaction was silence. Then, from somewhere, came a soft chuckle. Then, laughter. And finally, uproarious laughter echoed in every corner. Not manic, but liberated. The kind of laughter that had waited for centuries to be heard. On a distant agricultural colony at the edge of human-claimed space, an old man read the message aloud to his grandchildren. "Grandpa, are we in danger?" the youngest asked, eyes wide with concern. The old man smiled, his age-lined eyes glinting with calm. "No, little one. This is what humanity has been preparing for thousands of years. The day the final mask would fall. At New Oxford University, in a quantum physics lecture hall, when the alert reached every student's wristpad, The professor gently closed his book and said, "Well then, it seems today's class on spatial manipulation theory just became a bit more practical than expected." Laughter rippled again, this time the laughter of understanding, of those who carried a secret the galaxy had never dared to dream of. In hidden military bases cloaked within the atmospheres of gas giants, within the hollow moons of outer system soldiers who had trained for generations, without ever expecting true battle, began awakening systems that had slumbered for millennia. Technology the galaxy had dismissed as myth was now stirring back to life. And soon, the universe would learn humanity had never been just another ordinary species. The Tekran Annihilation Fleet. From the edge of deep space, a colossal fleet emerged, dripping through the membrane of higher dimensional hyperspace. It was the largest war formation the Tekran Empire had assembled in over 5 centuries. 1,000 warships, each encased in living metal grown and programmed with hive mind intelligence. These ships weren't just built to fight, they were built to learn. And today, they had not come to negotiate. They had come to end human history with pure, unrelenting firepower. Aboard the flagship Inevitable Dominance, Admiral Mach, a towering figure clad in black and gold-hued armor plating, stared intently at the holographic strategic map. Beneath him, dozens of shorter Tekran officers worked silently, their appendages manipulating glowing control panels. "Status report," Mach commanded, his voice scraping like blades across frozen stone. "Fleet formation is complete," the deputy reported. "No active energy defense systems detected around Earth. Only a few outdated patrol vessels drifting near the 4th planet's orbit." Mach's hardened mandibles twitched slightly. No challenge, no meaningful defenses. Just as intelligence had predicted, humanity weak, arrogant, and incapable of proper retaliation. "Move the entire fleet into Earth's orbital perimeter," Mach ordered. "Initiate bombardment protocols as discussed. Let the galaxy witness what happens when a feeble species dares to defy Tekran." One by one, the warships began to shift into formation, drawing precise paths around Earth-like blades, slowly converging around the throat of an unarmed victim. And yet, in the void where Earth was expected to appear, something strange began to occur. The disappearance of Earth. "Sensor report?" Admiral Mach demanded, his multifaceted eyes sweeping across the slowly rotating tactical display. An unusually long silence followed. Then a Tekran officer spoke up, his voice uncertain. "Admiral, there is an anomaly at the 3rd position in the orbital system." "Clarify," Mach growled. "Earth, it's not there." The entire command deck seemed to freeze in a suspended heartbeat. Mach turned, each joint in his limbs clicking against the metal floor as he moved toward the main viewing screen. There, an impossible image stared back at him. An empty orbit. No Earth. Only the moon remained steadily revolving around an invisible center of gravity, as if the planet had been erased, yet its gravitational influence lingered. "That's impossible," Mach roared. "A planet doesn't just vanish. Recalibrate all scan systems." "The systems are functioning normally, sir," the science officer replied, tentacles trembling. "There's no evidence of energy cloaking, no gravitational diffraction. By all indicators, Earth no longer exists in this space." Silence returned this time, the kind that even hardened warriors dread. "Could they have evacuated?" a subordinate commander suggested. "Impossible," Mach said, though the certainty in his voice had wavered. "No civilization in this galaxy possesses the technology to relocate an entire planet, unless—" He didn't finish the thought. Even as a hypothesis, it defied reason. And because it defied reason, it was far more dangerous than any weapon ever forged. Another officer spoke up. "Admiral, we are being scanned by an unfamiliar energy pattern. It's penetrating all shields, as if they weren't even there." Mach's claws clenched around the armrest, his mind echoing a single word: trap. First contact. On the command bridge of the Inevitable Dominance, red alerts blazed across every display. System failures lit up in cascading waves. Just as Mach prepared to issue countermeasures, a spiraling column of light appeared in the very center of the command room. No one had time to react. The light expanded, then collapsed inward, revealing the figure of a woman. Not a flickering Tekran-style hologram, but a hyper-realistic image, every fold in her clothing, every blink of her eyes rendered with uncanny precision. She scanned the room, not with fear, but with curiosity. "Welcome to the solar system," her voice rang out clear and steady, as if she stood among them. "I see you're looking for Earth. I'm afraid we've relocated it. Mulk nearly Lefadov. His species had such a reflex. You moved a planet? Yes. The woman smiled, the kind of human smile that always unsettled other species because they could never quite understand it. We've been expecting you. Who are you? Mulk roared. I am Song, commander of Earth's Defense Force. She tilted her head slightly. That strange energy you're detecting, that's our folded space-time lattice. At the moment, you are suspended within a temporal dilation field. She raised her hand and outside the ship, the stars stood still, light frozen like brushstrokes on a painting. Even a drifting fragment near the window was suspended mid-motion. To us, this conversation is unfolding in real time, but to the rest of the galaxy, only 3 seconds have passed since your arrival. A chill raced down Mock's spinny ancient instinct that even his hardened exoskeleton couldn't shield against. Fear. This technology, it violates every known law of physics, a Tekran officer exclaimed. Whose laws? Song replied, her eyes gleaming. The Council's? Yours? I'm sorry, but those are kindergarten equations. The price of arrogance. Admiral Mock stood frozen. His officers, the most elite warriors of the Tekran Empire, remained rigid, like statues. All defensive systems had been ordered to activate, yet nothing responded. No shields engaged, no weapons ready to fire. They had been neutralized before they were even used. It's time you understood, Song continued, as calm as a history lecturer addressing an ancient classroom. Humanity is no longer a species that needs protection. For 3,000 years, we didn't prepare for war. We evolved beyond the concept of war. A new alert flared across every screen on the Tekran command bridge. Unknown device detected in ship systems. Biological data being analyzed. Crew internal structure mapping in progress. What's happening? A panicked officer shouted. I believe you're just now realizing, Song replied, with a hint of amusement in her voice. Those tiny devices you failed to detect? They are bio-nanites. At the moment, they're only observing. They're mapping your biology from the inside. Moke nearly let out a roar, but it caught in his throat as a 3D display materialized before he an anatomical map of his own body. Every organ, every bloodstream, millions of nanites, drifting like tiny points of light within him. We've lived with this technology for centuries, Song said. Our bodies heal themselves. We do not age. We do not fall ill. We do not fear time, and we do not fear war. A cold silence fell again. You came here in arrogance, believing we were weak, primitive. Song bowed her head slightly. But if you truly think Tekran technology is the pinnacle of civilization, then today, truth will become the price your empire pays for its pride. The arrogance of the empire, even as the entire fleet had been scanned, neutralized, and exposed to the incomprehensible power of humanity, the Tekran Empire refused to retreat. It's deception, tactical illusion, a member of the Tekran War Council shouted during an emergency session following the encounter with Song. They're using visual tricks, simulated data to sow fear. Admiral Moke remained silent, eyes downcast. He had seen it. He knew the truth. But his words no longer held weight in a chamber filled with minds shaped by 3,000 years of unchallenged dominance. Supreme Commander VX, the unquestioned ruler of the Tekran hegemony, slammed a claw against the command table, the sound cracking like a blade against stone. The main fleet will not retreat. We'll show them what real power means. Next target, the mining colony of New Haven. It's a weak point. Light defenses. We will erase it. Immediately. We shouldn't. Mock tried to interject, but was instantly silenced by VX's piercing glare. Silence, Admiral, VX snarled. The only one who returns alive from facing the enemy is not a hero, but a deserter. The order was given. A second fleet even larger than Mock's formation was deployed to the edge of the TCI system, where a small human colony worked quietly, mining the frozen surface of the dead world. New Haven. No warning. No negotiations. No notification to the Galactic Council. Only a delusional belief that justice could be delivered through firepower alone. And like every empire throughout history that has perished from arrogance, Tekran was about to become the final chapter of its own legend without even realizing it. The silent counterstrike. On the dry, rocky world of New Haven, morning began like any other. People headed to work, children filed into classrooms, machines thundered in the massive mining pits. No one knew that just a few astronomical units away, 3,000 Tekran warships had emerged from hyperspace, their weapons locked onto the sky above them. Aboard the lead Tekran vessel, Commander Zach stared at the tactical map. Only a handful of outdated orbital defense platforms, his aide reported. A few light weapon stations. Civilian population approximately 20,000. 6,000 of them are children. Begin the assault, Zach ordered coldly. Erase everything. Missile silos opened. Plasma cannons charged. Currents of energy surged along the hulls. Thousands of deadly projectiles were armed in unison, and then everything stopped. No explosions. No impacts. The energy beams froze mid-flight, like glowing pins suspended in the void. Missiles hung motionless, mid-trajectory, their fiery exhaust frozen in time. Inside every Tekran warship, officers and soldiers suddenly lost all motor control. They remained conscious-aware but utterly unable to move. Only their minds continued to function and to feel fear. All main screens flickered to life simultaneously, revealing a face, the same woman who had addressed Admiral Mock Commander Lee. "Greetings, Tekran forces," she said softly, as if beginning an ordinary meeting. "I am Commander Lee of Earth's Defense Force. We warned you through Admiral Mock. You chose not to listen." She bowed her head slightly. "Now it is time for a humble demonstration." Humanity's warships appear. The main displays aboard the Tekran warships suddenly shifted. From what had seemed like empty space, outlines began to emerge glowing softly, as if space itself was peeling away in layers, revealing colossal shapes hidden behind the fabric of reality. The human fleet had arrived, but these vessels bore no resemblance to anything the Tekran had ever encountered. No harsh edges, no thick armored plating, only smooth flowing forms, like living organisms, pulsing with streams of light that seemed to breathe with the rhythm of the cosmos. They had not entered from somewhere else. They had always been there, unseen, undetectable, simply waiting. "These ships," a Tekran sensor officer whispered, regaining some movement. "They surrounded us before we even entered the system." On the central screen, Commander Lee reappeared, her gaze now as cold as the vacuum of space. "We do not need to fire a single shot to prove our strength," she said. "We only need to show you that every step you've taken has been accepted, analyzed, and forgiven." She raised her hand, as if touching the very veil between dimensions. At that moment, the human fleet lit up in unison, forming a radiant web of light that enveloped the entire Tekran armada like a cosmic net. "We were here," Lee continued, "long before you calculated your first hyperspace jump coordinates. We could have dismantled your entire fleet the moment you exited hyperspace, but we didn't." The view shifted to the surface of New Haven, where miners continued their work and children played beneath the protective dome. No panic, no scream, no one even looked up at the sky. "Because they believe in us," Lee said, her voice growing softer. "And because they know what you've brought here is no longer a threat." The return report. The atmosphere on the command bridge of the lead Tekran warship had grown thick like the vacuum of space itself. No more commands, no more resistance. Only the silence of those who had stood face to face with the scythe of death and were spared. Commander Lee appeared one final time. Her expression was no longer cold, but weary. "Your fleet has been completely neutralized," she said. "And not a single Tekran life has been harmed. Weapons dismantled, missiles reduced to atomic dust, all control systems deactivated, but your vitality remains intact." Lee bowed her head, solemn and sincere. "That is the one gift humanity still chooses to offer: life." Commander Zach stood motionless. His claws trembled. He had once ordered the destruction of an entire planet simply because it was misplaced on a galactic map. Now, a planet had vanished from all map sand. He was the one erased from the game. "Return," Lee said. "Tell them what happened. Tell them that peace still has a path. But it is a path for those who have learned humility." The screen went dark. No warning. No threat. Only a door left open for the last time. Zach lowered himself into the command chair, silent. No one spoke. No one needed orders. "Disarm all weapon systems," he commanded. "Set a course for Tekran Prime." "Shall we attempt to track Earth's new location?" one officer asked, hesitant. Zach didn't answer right away. Then he looked up into the stars, where humanity's ships drifted silently like ancient gods walking through the corridors of oblivion. "No," he whispered, "we've lost. We just didn't realize it until today." Interrogation and defiance. The grand hall of the Tekran Empire once. The strategic sanctum of the galaxy now echoed with screams, fist-pounding, and a fear no one dared to name. Supreme Commander VX stood at the center of the dome chamber, surrounded by the 30 highest-ranking strategists of Tekran. Admiral Moak had been summoned back force to stand at the heart of a judgment circle. No defense, no justice, only power and blind arrogance. "You believe the soft-skinned ones?" VX roared, his blade-like hands slamming onto the black metal table, cracking its surface. "Illusions, mind tricks. Humans cannot move a planet, cannot bend time, cannot infiltrate my body without me knowing." "But they did," Mock replied, his eyes sunken from sleepless nights, but steady. "I saw it. My fleet was surrounded without a single sensor alert. Our weapons vanished from the ships, and the nanobots were inside every one of us." Whispers rippled through the chamber from those who once thought themselves invincible. "They've invaded our bodies," a commander exclaimed, repulsed. "Maybe it's technology. Maybe it's sorcery," another murmured. VX bellowed, "Your fear is what's rotting Tekran from within. We do not kneel to illusions. We are the empire of 17 star systems." He turned to Mock, pointing a sharp claw. "You are stripped of command, investigated for possible mind manipulation." Moak did not argue. He only whispered, "You've just signed the death warrant of an entire civilization." A new order was issued. A second assault on New Haven. No reconnaissance. No diplomacy. This time, VX declared, "We do not stop." Undeniable evidence. After the humiliating tribunal, Admiral Mock was confined to an isolated chamber aboard his old warship. But no one realized that confinement would become his only chance to learn. The Tekran data system had been infiltrated, thousands of files injected by humanity during the temporal suspension. The data hadn't yet been purged, and in the silent dark of night, Moak began to read. He watched video footage. A human ship absorbing a full-force plasma barrage enough to shatter a moon, then glowing softly, as if swallowing the energy into its body. A shield system that wasn't a barrier, but a spatial fold where attacks didn't deflect or explode. They simply vanished, as though they had never existed. He studied maps of Dyson Swarm's vast satellite networks built around stars, harnessing their entire output. Entire stars, entire systems, already held in humanity's grasp. But the most terrifying file was under biology. Human bodies infused with millions of biomedical nanotest microscopic machines flowing through their blood, repairing cells, restructuring genes, halting aging, and eliminating disease in real time. Moak summoned a former officer-own of his most loyal. "Give me your arm," Moak said quietly. He activated a human scanning device. A soft blue light swept along the arm, and then it lit up. Millions of glowing, Poinstony mechanical organisms pulsing within his blood. "They've been inside us since we entered the solar system," Mock whispered, eyes locked on the display. "They didn't kill us. They observed us." The officer stepped back, face pale. So if they could do this silently, what could they do if they were angry? No one answered, and Moak understood this wasn't war. It would be suicide. The final meeting at Harmony Point. The neutral station of Harmony Point, constructed by the ancient Vandari thousands of years ago, once again became the center of the galaxy. But never in all of galactic history had it carried such a heavy atmosphere. 27 species gathered, each with its own formed crystalline beings, colossal insectoids, gaseous intellects in armored suits, even sentient light. All were seated around a great round table, veiled in a semi-reality field that allowed every form of consciousness to understand one another. The Tekran Empire was present, but no longer proud. Supreme Commander VX still sat at the center, but the once glimmering armor now seemed dulled, stripped of its unwavering faith and power. After 3 days of reviewing the data sent by humanity, there was no more room for doubt. Earth had been relocated into a dimensional pocket. Time could be bent. Weapons could be disassembled at the molecular level. And humans did not need to threaten to be heard. "Where's the human representative?" Ambassador Drev flared with heated sparks. "We've waited 3 days, and now they send one?" The great doors of the hall opened. No blinding light, no armed escort, Just an old man, white-haired, wooden cane. A simple Robeno weapons, no devices. He walked slowly, his cane tapping softly against the galactic porcelain floor, and sat at Earth's Siata chair untouched for 3,000 years. "I am Choi," he said, his voice deep and warm, resonating clearly without amplification. "Historian, peace negotiator. I've come to listen and to respond." The chamber fell silent. No one expected it. A civilization capable of reshaping the laws of the universe had sent an old man. No armor, no soldiers, no threats. And that more than anything made every being in the room stop and listen. The truth unveiled. No voices, no movement. 27 species, many of them once claiming dominion over the stars now, sat in complete silence, eyes fixed on a single old man. No one realized that this silence was, in fact, the deepest form of acknowledgement. They had been waiting for this moment for 1,000 years. The old man choiested his hands atop the galactic table. His eyes, aged by centuries, still shone like Polaris in the dark sky of history. 3,000 years ago, he began, humanity stood at the edge of extinction. Not because of invasion, but because of ourselves. A three-dimensional projection appeared in mid-air, quietly activated by a small device from his robe pocket. Cities in ruins, charred continents, lifeless oceans, ash-filled skies. "We burn the earth," he said, out of greed, out of fear, out of ego without limit. But then, the images shifted: rebuilding zones, underground research stations, people uniting without borders. We survived, and we swore, never to wage war upon ourselves again, and never to be powerless before another. He looked around the table. But we also learned something greater. Power on display breeds hostility. Power concealed offers understanding. The next images stunned the entire assembly, being saved from the Vandari plague by anonymous nanotech. The planet Lumen pulled from its death orbit by a natural celestial body, covertly deployed by humans. We helped, quietly, without names, without expecting gratitude, because we seek something else. He paused, then spoke softly. We don't seek allies. We don't seek slaves. We don't seek subjects. We seek companions. Those strong enough not to fear difference, mature enough to choose cooperation over conquest. The chamber was utterly still, and in the eyes of dozens of species, something new began to bloom. Respect, the final invitation, and the sound of laughter. The chamber at Harmony Point was so still, even the faintest shift sent a ripple through every gaze. Choi remained seated, his eyes smiling not with pride, but with forgiveness. Supreme Commander VX of the Tekran Empire finally spoke, his voice like metal under pressure. "So, what is it you want?" Choi didn't answer immediately. Instead, he pulled a small device from his pocket, no larger than a human palm, gently placed it on the table. It glowed softly, and then, sound filled the room. Not words, not warnings, but laughter. The laughter of billions of humans, echoing from all corners of the solar system. From asteroid belt mining stations, from cities beneath Earth's oceans, from children playing under the Martian domes. Laughter that wasn't mocking, not boastful, but warm, deep, and real. That, Choi said quietly, is what makes us different. Not technology, not tactics, but the ability to find joy in the darkness. Some beings around the council table shuddered not in fear, but in something deeper. Some species didn't understand the sound of laughter, but they felt its rhythm. And for the first time, even the Tekranthos who once claimed supremacy fell silent to listen. "We invite you," Choi continued, his voice rich with meaning, "to join us, not to obey, but to co-create." He stood, leaning on his cane. Together, we can explore dimensions yet unnamed. Together, we can redefine life, time, and ourselves. Then he bowed deeply. "We have waited 3,000 years. Now, the answer is yours." The laughter faded, leaving behind silence, but not emptiness. It was filled with possibility. In that moment, the galaxy was no longer divided, no longer strong or weak, only a chance to write the next chapter together.